WYFF News 4 presents For the Record.
Welcome to For the Record. I'm Nigel Robertson. WYFF News 4 is committed to bringing you important issues that are affecting our community, and that is what we plan to do each Sunday morning. Today, we are talking to young voters. What's getting them to the polls? What's keeping others from registering? And what are the issues that they are facing? Joining us now this morning are two members with the Greenville Republicans Club, Megan Ingersoll and Hayden Turlington. Thank you for being here. And two members of the Young Democrats of Greenville County, Kirsten Pruitt and Jacob Taylor. Thank you so much for being here, sitting down with us. So are we ready? The election is coming up. The excitement is there. When it comes to your generation, what is the mindset right now amidst all of this?
I think a lot of people have been waiting a long time for this, especially ever since 2020, and we just couldn't be more excited for it to finally be here. Yeah.
Both sides?
I would say more of an anxiety kind of thing, just like with it being so close and not knowing how things are going to shake up and how important this election is. So, I mean, there's excitement definitely too, but anxiety a little bit as well.
This is a unique time in history. I remember, first of all, I'm a political junkie. I studied politics. It is. I see the power of someone holding an office and making a difference.
Right.
It was a different generation when I was in your shoes. What does the world look like for your generation?
I think one of the biggest things that comes to mind is the economy. Like, obviously, when you talk about Gen Z and millennials, you're spanning a wide range. 18-year-olds are going to be voting for the first time, and they have different issues, like no tax on tips from the Trump administration. His viewpoint there is really big deal for the younger 18 to 25-year-old who might be in a service job or older, but the younger voter, that's a huge deal. The economy, though, for the little bit older young voter, it's really important because they're looking at buying their first home. They're looking at paying for a car. They're looking at paying off school debts. They have a lot of things. They're getting first job, second job. So being able to save, being able to pay for groceries, the economy is a huge reason. I think this time around in particular, young voters are going to be going to the polls.
I think one of the other big things that people are focusing on, the economy is certainly extremely important, and housing is a big issue for young people. Look at Greenville specifically. We have major rises in the cost of living, housing being a big one of them because a lot of people are moving here. But abortion is a big thing for young people. We're kind of in that stage of people planning out families and trying to figure out where exactly they are in their stage of life. So I think that's an important thing that young people are worried about. And I think foreign issues are another big thing. You look at college campuses. There's been a lot of focus on Israel-Hamas conflict and what's going on in Gaza, and I think that's something that people are also concerned about, just in kind of with the young people in college and those kind of things.
And we, of course, can't forget immigration. I mean, you have, like young women literally being killed in big cities like Atlanta when they're just going out for a run. So I think that there are real fears when it comes to, am I safe in the city I'm moving to as a young voter, maybe a single individual. A lot of young adults today, in fact, I believe it's the majority of young adults in that Gen Z millennial category are single adults. So they're alone in a new city, getting a first-time job. They're afraid. There's a lot of fear there. And our border being insecure right now, I think, is a really big deal, with millions of people coming in undocumented and with potential terrorist backgrounds that we are now knowing about. So I think those are fears.
Especially how it contributes to human trafficking. That's a huge thing that I think about every day. I'm a Christian, and I believe that we should care for all of our neighbors, and essentially enabling the kind of trafficking that we're seeing across the border is just not something that I want to see. And so that's why I'm very excited to see, hopefully, the next president be someone who is actually looking to stop all the trafficking coming across the border and put in place measures that are actually effective at eliminating some of the things that we're seeing currently.
Both candidates right now, Kamala Harris, Donald Trump, there's they're in the headlines constantly. You hear about what they want to do, and there's talk about kind of how they see the world if they are elected. Talk to me a little bit about Kamala Harris and why you feel she is the best person for the job.
Yeah, so the first thing with Kamala Harris is bringing that positivity, that change. We're talking about cities not being safe. The crime rate's actually down, according to the FBI, so that is pretty significant, and I don't think that's necessarily as top of mind for people, but I know young people are looking for a new generation of leadership. So somebody younger, with Donald Trump, he's in his 80s and he's not the most coherent, and that's concerning. You know, I'm looking for somebody who understands my issues, who understands what it's like to go to the grocery store and not be able to afford your groceries. And Kamala Harris does. She goes to the, well, she has gone to the grocery store, but she cooks her own meals. Yeah. She resonates with me and who I am, so.
Donald Trump?
Well, I mean, I think about when you talk about electing a president, you're electing an administration. You know, you're electing thousands. Ultimately, you're putting your vote behind the thousands of people they're going to bring into those government positions that are going to implement the policies that they bring behind them. So I vote for Donald Trump, yes, because of the policies he personally is advocating for, but also the administration that he's going to bring with him. You know, I want to have people from the Republican Party, which he's going to lean on, although he has reached across the aisle and into the middle to bring people onto his team to represent different viewpoints this election. But he will heavily reach deep into the Republican Party to fill those positions with leaders from across our different states in this country who stand for issues like life, who are going to protect life from born to the grave, all of life, that are going to foster an economic development growth that isn't restricted by heavier taxes or fees or government handouts that rise inflation rates. He's going to look to enable the market space to grow. So it's not just his policies, but the many people that he brings into an administration to let those policies flourish that matter.
And we're going to talk about the issues here coming up. Definitely. Thank you for joining us. We're going to hear more from all four of you. Let's remind our viewers of a few voter registration deadlines. You'll need to register in person by October 4th, online by October 6th, or postmarked mail by October 7th. Our conversation with young voters continues when we return.